But let's take this call from Nladi from Lagos, and then we'll return to you to comment on that. Hello. Do we have Nladi on the line?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening. Go on.
Yeah. Today I want to talk about is one of your man mentioned concerning the education that is going high as well. And if you look at that area, government needs to do something about the public school, because the private school is really going high every day and day, every 10%. And if government is doing something serious about public school, then it will collapse the private school. It's too high. It's because government is not doing anything about the public school. And that's why the private school continues to do overdue. Please, they need to do something in that area. If public school is functioning well with good teachers, good classroom, and reduce the number of students in the classroom instead of having up to 100 in the classroom, have like the same thing that the private schools are doing. Then you see people will withdraw their students from the private school back to the public school. And somebody will come to be a governor while his children are not going to public school. Somebody will come to be a minister of education while his children are abroad schooling. Somebody will come to be a president of Nigeria while his children or himself have never taken school in Nigeria before. How would that work? University will go on strike for how long? Because if their children are there, all this will not happen. Please, they need to look at that area as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's my contribution.
Okay. We'll just relate this to the question of the CPI and what it's showing us. We've talked about health and how the trend is more expenditure is going on in health. Now he's brought in education. And we see how is that reflected in the figures we're seeing now. More going to education or less?
Okay. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Now, I used to say this in any forum I found myself about inflation in Nigeria. Inflation in Nigeria is not a demand-side issue. Inflation in Nigeria is a supply-side factor. Look at the caller from, is it Kebi?
Yes.
That said border. It's a supply-side factor. Not that the food in Nigeria being produced is not enough, but there's a diversion. What is the interest? Profit. Does it mean they sell the food in Nigeria, they will not make the expected profit? The answer maybe is no. That's why they are diverting it to another country where their interest can be maximized. Maybe because of the exchange rate or the value of Naira is a factor. That's what I will say about that, because if government doesn't know the cause of inflation, in economics theory, the cause of inflation determines the solution to the inflation. Yeah. Before you can know the solution to an inflation, you must know the cause of that inflation. Is it a cost push inflation? Is it a demand pull inflation? Is it a structural inflation? Is it inflation that is caused by excess money? That's why anytime monetary authority in Nigeria adjusts all these monetary policy rates, I used to say, inflation in Nigeria may not be a monetary phenomenon. Yeah, it's not the issue of excess money chasing few goods. It's the supply, inadequate supply of goods compared to the demand. Now, the person from Lagos, I said it earlier, the consumption pattern we got from the 2023 Nigeria Living Standard Survey and 2024 Survey of Rare Items gave us the new consumption pattern. From that consumption pattern, policymakers have a lot to do. As I said, health increased by more than 100%, meaning that a lot of money is being spent on health, meaning that people have health challenges. The sector needs to be visited. Education. Education is highly inelastic now. That's why you see, even if the private school is 100% increase, people will still patronize because we know the importance of education. Another sector that is very important that has greater weight is what we call restaurant and accommodation. The weight before the rebates was about 1.2, but now it's about 12.5. Look at the huge gap. Why? Meal away from home was initially in Division 1. Average workers or non-worker eat outside their homes, and expenditure on this has also increased astronomically. Why? Price of food in the buka or restaurant or in all these structured food seller have increased. So meaning that sector needs to be focused on as well. Another thing in that division that make that division to increase is accommodation. Accommodation is not just living in hotel. The accommodation we are talking about include accommodation of our students in school, hostel, from primary school to university. These two changes made that division to spark up like that. Many of our students today, they pay a lot of money on accommodation. Maybe that government should pay attention to that as well. Are our students vying in school? How is their living condition in school? That sector needs to be also visited. As I said, people should not just focus on 24%. The consumption pattern also have a lot of information for government, for household, and for investors.